All right. So most of the lessons in section 3 are about linear equations. In particular, the prep and lesson homework for 3.2, and right now I'm talking about 3.3. Equation-wise, something is linear if it's a variable equals some number times another variable plus some other number. So the variables here, the y is a variable and the x are variables. The others are just numbers I have. Like for example, one of the problems we were just working on could be written as y equals negative 0.015 x plus 0.104. And this number, the m, that number right there, that's slope. So we're going to be looking at situations that have a slope. Slope is also known as, AKA, a rate of change. And I'll talk more about that next class. Why it's a rate and what it has to do with change. The other number over here is often called the y-intercept or the starting point. Initial value, intercept, sometimes also known as a starting value. Also known as like an initial value. And so we just got a few situations that have things like that in them that we're going to play around with in the prep. So the first one, Ben has $70 in his savings account and he plans to deposit $50 per week. So the $50, oh, my mouse is freaking out. The $50 per week here, notice the word per. Per means divide. Whenever we divide, it could be a rate, like miles per hour, okay? And the 70 is what he's starting with. That's his initial value. So if I kind of break that down into like a y equals mx plus b situation, for this new example, he's starting at $70, right? It said he had $70 in his account to start with. And then the slope is how something changes. And they said that was going to be $50 per week. And that per is this division, that's the idea of a rate. So for this situation, and again, I'd have to choose the right variables. What did they say to use for variables? They said to use A for the amount he has and X for the number of weeks. So I would write it, let's use a color, as A equals $50 per week. So that'd be 50X, X is weeks, plus he started at $70. And the prep has a few different examples of like this where we have to tease out by reading through it and say, okay, which number is the change? Which number is the starting point? And they're all pretty similar otherwise. They all fit this style of situation. Right. So it's due, this is due tomorrow night. Start it sooner. We're often going to overlap lessons where we're going to be prepping for one lesson before we finish the homework to the other lesson. And that usually works okay because they're all related, especially when they're right next to each other there. So I'm officially out of class time. If you want to stay and ask some questions, I'll hang out for a few minutes before I got to get my lunch before my next class. And otherwise I have office hours at 2, which is very soon also.
Can I just ask one thing? Now on this, I would just push the